Violet. Violet. Hi everybody, this is Sensei with Sensei Reviews. I am back on my nonsense and it's been a little while since I have recorded. Got a new setup and wow, you're already scratching the couch. Well done. This is Violet, everybody. She's helping me today. Yes, you're very helpful. So leave a little space and see if she's going to join me here. But today I'm going to be talking about Breath of the Wild. And I don't know. Hi. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this one. Is it a rant? Is it a rave? I think it's kind of both. We just got a new trailer out at the moment for Breath of the Wild 2, now officially called Tears of the Kingdom. And I watched it and I didn't feel a lot of emotions. So I don't know if that means that that's good or bad, but here we are. And Violet's on the desk. All right, so gosh, I've got a lot to say about this game, so I'm just gonna go. Hello. Are you gonna step on things? Are you gonna step on things? No? Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I've got a lot to say about this game. So I played Breath of the Wild first on the Wii U version, and I have played Master Quest. I have played the DLC in its entirety, and I feel like I've sunk a lot of hours into the game, and I feel like I can talk about it. I'm kind of a lifelong Zelda fan myself. I really like Legend of Zelda, and I don't know. I feel like kind of my Resident Evil 4 review that I played it a lot when it came out, and I've sunk a lot of hours of my life into this game. You're so helpful right now, and I don't know, looking back, if I love it. I'm not sure. So I'm gonna talk myself through this and we'll see where we end up by the end of the review. So as usual, I'm gonna talk about the story, the characters, art, music, gameplay, and give an overall score on a regular grading scale, because I'm a teacher and that makes sense to me. Breath of the Wild. A lot of my students were requesting this video and they were asking me like, did you see the preview? Are you excited? I'm like, excited is a strong word, isn't it? It's a very strong word. Let's talk about the story first. Because I feel like I like Breath of the Wild generally as a game. I don't know if I like it as a Zelda game. So that's where I think my linchpin is. Okay, story. So the story of Breath of the Wild is relatively simple. It's more focused on exploration and gameplay. How successful they were at that, we'll get to it. But story, there's a Calamity version of Ganon as this big pig monster, and it has destroyed the kingdom 100 years ago. Link was asleep, and you wake up at the very beginning. 100 years has passed, and basically, Cleo. Oh, Cleo's here too. You can maybe see her. Cleo. There's the fatty. The fatty has arrived, everyone. All right. So they're arguing. They're fine. Okay. So let's see. So there were 4 champions. They had 4 divine beasts, and they were going to use those to defeat Ganon. That didn't work, and so you've got to go try to retrieve those. You don't have to, and then you can go fight Ganon. And Princess Zelda has been holding the big pig monster back the whole time with her magic. And yeah, a while ago you failed, basically. And I don't know, Zelda, through the story bits, they're like memories that you have to go find through photographs. She is kind of a scholar in this version of the game, and she was researching Sheikah technology. There's a couple Sheikah characters. They're kind of very Japanese in this game. And anyway, ancient technology that they were going to use to fight Ganon, and it was manipulated by the Malice and turned against them, and sad and stuff, and didn't work. A lot of people died. Anyway, it was fine. The story was fine. It was like, but it didn't do anything for me. I definitely didn't feel a sense of urgency. And yeah, I like the characterization of Zelda more in this game as a scholar and kind of, you know, giving her that a little bit of character development. She kind of had a you know, tiff with her dad, the King of Hyrule, who is also in the game. But everything took place in the past, so let me specify that it kind of didn't really occur in the current era when you're playing, and so I feel like the more interesting parts of the story, most of the story, took place in the past. And so there's nothing really to do in the current game that moves the story along or whatever. It's just you're kind of getting little pieces, but it's all happened already. So there's nothing really for you to do when it comes to the story and progressing it along. So I think it's fine. I'm gonna go C for the story because I don't need a lot of story in a Zelda game. I really don't, but I just felt like the story already happened and there wasn't really anything there, you know, for me to get engaged in because it already happened. And all the interesting characters that we get are dead. They had to die, so which is lame because they were great characters, you know, all the four champions and stuff like that. I think they all had really nice characterization and they're just dead. So it's like, what are we gonna do with them? Speaking of characters, let's go talk about them. So characters is next on my list. You know, Link is Link, so nothing really there. Like I said, I like the characterization of Zelda. I think that she had some good stuff going on for her version in Breath of the Wild. And the champions I thought were really great, so I'll just move through them. So Daruk is kind of fun, the Goron guy. And you also had like their descendant, right? That was there with them. So it's like Yunobo or something. The little cowardly Goron. They were fine. I didn't have an issue with them. I feel like Daruk was just your kind of typical, you know, Goron hero that we see in the games, and he was very like sort of jovial and lighthearted. And again, I felt like it was such a missed opportunity because we wanted to, I think, interact with these characters a lot more. But since they were gone, it's just watching some cinema scenes that happened in the past, and we only get so much from that, which is unfortunate because I think they're good characters. Mipha, everybody's imaginary fishwife. Anyway, Mipha's fine. She's a hero of, you know, the Zora, and her person is her brother, Prince Sidon, who is the meme machine, and he's hilarious. I first ran across Sidon as, I think I did this, the Zora stuff as the second dungeon. So I ran across him. I was like, this guy's great. He's really funny. But they live longer, the Zora, so he just remembers his big sister, although he's quite a bit taller than what she would be if she were still alive. And she was very beloved by her people, you know, and everything else. And like I said, I think there's good character potential. I just didn't think we used it within the game. And then going to Gerudo Town, you had Urbosa, and she was great. And her Riju was her descendant in some way. And they were both great. I thought Gerudo Town was really fun. And there was the creepy stalker guy outside. And I was like, give me all of the boots. I was like sand boots and something else that he gave you that you were able to trade or something like that, and you had to pick one, and I was like, no. Anyway, but yeah, they were great, and I really liked the connection that Urbosa had with Zelda's mom. We never hear about the Queen of Hyrule, although the King of Hyrule usually makes an appearance. And again, would have loved more of her, would have loved more of that interaction. Anything didn't happen in game. So what else? Where am I missing? Oh yes, the one everybody hates. So Rivali, right? Rivali is great. Everybody hates Rivali, and I think he's hilarious. So I don't know where he gets his confidence, and could use some of it, honestly, because Rivali just believes in himself more than anybody else does, and he's just really funny and petty and mean, and I like that. He's hilarious. Again, was it Teba is his descendant, and I don't know, Teba's fine. He's just kind of there. He's not offensive. But I don't know. I really, I think we had some nice character stuff, and I just wanted more of it. But I think the characters were great, although they were limited in their capacity and their overall contribution to the game. Very, like, if I'm just looking at time, like, it's a very small amount of time that's actually spent on the characters within the game, and their ghosties are there, but they're just like, I'm gonna sit on top of my divine beast here and just wait for 30 more hours until she's done farming over there all of those star bits. Update that armor. So I don't know. I just felt like it was a bit wasted, but I do think the characters were great. We just didn't have a lot of them, so I'm gonna ding them a little bit, and I'm gonna give them a B for characters because we had them. They were awesome, but we didn't use them. Not to the extent we should have. So art. I'm a little picky on this one. So do I like the art? Yes, overall I do. Do I like all of the art? No. So the different regions, like, people have nitpicked the crap out of this because there's just not a lot in Breath of the Wild. Like, this is one of my criticisms of the game. There's not a lot there. So people have sort of hyper fixated on a lot of the details, and the design details are part of it. So there's the forest area, the kind of jungly forest area, and that kind of has like some ruins with some like owls and pigs and something else for all of like the representations of like the power, wisdom, and courage kind of stuff people have been pointing out, and probably that's, you know, where the designs came from. Dragons? Anyway, dragons are there. Dragons were not my friend. I learned very quickly. So I got off the plateau and I survived the plateau, and I was like, cool. And I ran off towards the Hylia Bridge, and I was like fighting people, and I was like, ah! And there was this beautiful kind of Chinese style like music playing, and I was like, there's a big dragon, and I got really excited, and I was like running on the bridge, and I was like, dragon, and I thought the dragon was gonna be my friend, and then it electrocuted me and killed me. And I was like, you're a mean dragon. You're a mean dragon. I don't want to be friends with you. You're mean. Yeah, mean dragons. Very sad. Dragons were not cute when you got close up to them. Not cute. But anyway, I think my biggest critique is of the art is, what is it? The Divine Beast #1, like, one of them would have been fine. The shrines, one of them would have been fine. But just the sheer number and repetition we had of the shrines, I got really, really bored. I think there's 120 plus DLC, you know, maybe an extra 10 or 12 or something. But yeah, I really got tired of that repetition. I think that's one of Breath of the Wild's problems, is just the amount. Too much or too little, and too much in regards to shrines. So, but I didn't love the sort of blue glow for all of the Sheikah technology, and I don't really like the concept of the Sheikah technology, because it's supposed to be like 1,000 years old, something like that, 10,000, just pick a number. And it's supposed to be this like ancient technology that was unearthed or whatever. And you know, you have a couple characters that kind of like are experts in that in the game or whatever, but I didn't like how it was juxtaposed to Ganon and the Malice, because that doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's corrupted, it's a corrupted version, and stuff like that, but I don't know, I didn't love it. And like the design of the ancient stuff, the design of the machines and stuff, the Guardians, like, I don't love them. I don't love them. There were some creepy designs for the Guardians, and I wanted kind of the creepier designs. They just seemed kind of clunky and silly looking to me. Threatening, yes. But I don't know. I don't love that design choice in general, so, But I think the art of the game is very pretty, unlike Wind Waker, where we were using the cel-shaded stuff and it was just like this gross cartoony style. I really liked the kind of blend of the cel shading, you know, with the natural, you know, part of, I mean, that's what it is, you're outside. It's a nature walk simulator, right? That's what Breath of the Wild is. So anyway, I think that part was all very well done. So I think I'm just gonna go B for the art, because there's elements that I don't like, but For the most part, it's pretty good. It's pretty strong as far as the art is concerned. I don't hate the way things look. Could be worse. Music. A lot of people really bag on Breath of the Wild for its music choices because with Zelda we're used to this like sort of sweeping, epic, beautiful music that's very much in your face. Breath of the Wild took a step back and was like, hey, we're just gonna have kind of little bits, little things happening in the background. It's supposed to be kind of quiet and relaxing and a nature simulator, and sure. If you really pay attention, if you're a music person, if you've got like an ear for music like I do, you heard lots of very familiar Zelda music in the background of places, and sometimes it was pretty embedded. You know, like Cass in his song, you know, if you do a thing, you'll eventually hear like the main Zelda theme. But I like the soundtrack. I think the soundtrack's nice enough. It's relaxing, it's calming. There's some nice new tracks. I feel like there's enough new tracks and it's not like heavily lying on this crutch of previous Zelda music. The main theme is quite nice for the Breath of the Wild theme. And I think that's all good. So I don't know, I didn't have a problem with the music, so I'm gonna go A. It didn't like knock my socks off, but it's very, very good. I think it's very solid. I didn't like the shrine music. So, gameplay time. It's gameplay time. Oh, gameplay. I have a lot to talk about with gameplay. All right, here we go. First things first. The beginning of the game is infinitely harder than the entire rest of the game. So like 5% of the game is difficult and then the rest of it is no challenge whatsoever. Same thing goes for Master Quest. I died a lot more in Master Quest, but I didn't feel like it was difficult after the plateau. Basically, the plateau is where you're learning how to do the game. After that, it's give yourself an hour or two after the plateau, stock yourself up, and you're good to go for the rest of the game. There's no real thing. As far as like challenges go, there was the Master Sword Trials, Master Trials, and there were like 2 of them, weren't there? So I'm a casual gamer, everybody. I'm not a super awesome, does all the tricks in Breath of the Wild. I just want my stuff. Like, I'm there to collect things. So I didn't love the Master Trials, and I had to use a guide for them because I was like, wow, I suck. But I got through, and it was fine. Other than that, as a challenge, like, certainly the final boss was not a challenge. The final dungeon, the Hyrule Castle, is not a challenge. I just like to hang out there because the music's nice. But yeah, there's not much of a challenge in the game in general, other than just surviving. Okay, so about the weapons. In previous Zelda games, I have to think about this as a Zelda game. So like, you would be able to upgrade stuff. So I'll talk about weapons and then armor. So like weapons, you couldn't upgrade. You could just find them. And there's kind of like tiers of weapons that are good. But the Master Sword is not that great. Even after you do the Master Sword Trials, it's not that great. And like most weapons, it has a function where it will, you know, break. Its magic will go away. And it needs to recharge until you can use it again. So it still kind of breaks like the other weapons in the game. Well, there's Cleo. So I don't love that. I really don't love that because it's annoying. It's like the second I'm getting used to using a weapon, it breaks. And a lot of people criticize Breath of the Wild for this, and I think it's valid. I think it's valid criticism because like, you're trying to challenge me, but I end up being annoyed more than anything else. And I don't think that's what you want gamers to feel. You had the rusty stuff that you could, you know, like unrust or whatever, but they weren't that great. And I feel like that's the majority of weapons in Breath of the Wild, just not that great is what we've got. So my dear husband likes this game and has been debating with me before I've been doing this video. And the funny thing is, I play a lot of, you too, seriously, stop. I play a lot of Resident Evil. You may know that about me. And one of the things that I always loved is you go through a big, long challenge like the Master Quest for the sword, right? And you get basically a rocket launcher. Like, I'm looking for my rocket launcher. That's what I want. And I did not get a rocket launcher, and it made me very sad. I just want something to be completely broken and to just run around the game and just decimate everything. I think that's really fun. You know, again, I put in the work, I put in the time, and I want to get my rocket launcher. So I didn't get a rocket launcher in this game because of the weapon breaking system, and I felt a bit let down. So in other Zelda games, for a counter example, you would have degrees of swords that you could update. And most Zelda games would have this, where you can get, you know, 2 or 3 updated swords, and after your first one, it'll do like 2 times the damage or 3 times the damage or something like that. And I just didn't get that in this game, which was sad. The best thing I can think of would be in the DLC with the one-shot obliterator weapon, but you only got to use it for a little bit, and it, you know, anybody nicks you, you're dead. And in the way that Breath of the Wild combat works, there's a lot of people that have ranged weapons, so you have to get close to somebody, which is another deterrent as a weapon. It's just sad. So I didn't love that about the gameplay. The armor sets, so there's a lot of armor sets, there's a lot of updating to do with the Great Fairies. So there's 4 Great Fairies or so, and it doesn't matter which one you go to, you just 5? But you have to go around and collect things to update your weapons, and it goes from, you know, very normal stuff that you can find around to more rare items, you know, and eventually like very rare things like star bits, dragon scales, dragon eyelashes, whatever it was. I remember shooting the dragons in the eye. Anyway, I did all that. I don't use them. You don't have to use all the armor sets. You can just use food. Anyway, I wasn't thrilled with that element. It was something for me to do, and I did it. And that's how I kind of feel about Breath of the Wild gameplay. It's like there's things to do, and they're just kind of meh. You know, I felt the shrines were meh. I really like puzzles. I really like dungeons in Zelda games. And so, on the note of dungeons, the Divine Beasts were okay. There's only 4 of them, and they play relatively similarly. You know, sort of moving them around in some way, some sort of 3D way, and making your way through the dungeon. And I mean, there's all this lead up stuff that you have to do in order to get to the Divine Beast, right? So that takes a little bit of time, and that's all well and good, but it's a huge game. I mean, I meant to do this as a disclaimer, but Breath of the Wild changed the landscape of video games because open world, right? My general criticism is that it doesn't have enough in that gigantic open world that they made for me to meaningfully interact with to make me like the game. So there's treasure hunts, you know, all of these are usually connected to shrines. There's collecting items for updates, but it's not a lot. It just, like, I really felt that when I was playing the game, that it just wasn't a lot there. And so when it comes to the shrines and stuff, I was really excited that there were so many of them, and I got really excited because I was like, yay, puzzles, because I love puzzles, especially like the Zelda dungeon puzzle kind of thing. And I usually have a lot of fun with those, but there's a lot of shrines that aren't puzzle based. There's, I want to say something like 30, don't quote me, but something like that are just battle shrines that are just like, fight a robot. Cool. Fun. You know, there's a bunch of shrines that are just, I want to say like 10 to 15, something like that. Like, you did something on the overworld, congratulations. Blessing shrine. So I don't know, I feel like, finding some shrines was okay. You know, they had like riddles to go find the shrines, and getting to them was a bit difficult or whatever. I just got annoyed with it after a while. And I was gonna do it, but I was just like, I was annoyed. So a lot of repetition there. And there were some cool areas. Like I really was looking forward to the Lost Woods, and that was cool looking. But then like once I got the warp there, I was just like, it was a fun 5 minutes. And there was like a couple of little shrines to do in there. But again, you do them, it takes maybe a half hour, 45 minutes, and then that's it. There was the dark area. I don't remember what that area was called, sort of towards the top of the map, and that was fine, but it's just a shrine in there, that's it. So I don't know, I feel like there was a lot with gameplay that was very creative and very innovative. Again, it's a very influential game, but while I was playing it, I just felt how empty it was and how like little there was for me to do with gameplay. And it's supposed to be exploration, which is fine, like got it, but it's just not my favorite thing to do. I'd rather have a story to interact with a Zelda game, and usually the story is kind of off to the side anyway, but I felt like it was like way over there. In Breath of the Wild, and just like when I went back to play it, I was like, okay, I could play that one more time. But in thinking about it now, like, do I want to go back and play Breath of the Wild? And I'm like, not really. You know, I feel like it's just a bunch of random stuff, and it's not connected. It doesn't feel like connected at all. Especially, like I said, by a stronger overarching story. I think lore-wise, it didn't add a ton, I think, to the, you know, overall Zelda stuff. And anyway, I need to give gameplay a score. So let me give gameplay a score. I'm not a fan. It's not the worst thing ever, but I really didn't have fun. I really didn't have fun playing it. I'm okay. I'm fine at combat, like whatever. I just didn't have fun. So I'm going to do a D for that one. So here's our scores so far. And I've got to give an overall score, and this one's going to be tough. So let me think. First things first. Is it a good game? I think it is a good game. I don't think it's a good Zelda game. And I am going to be really petty for a little bit, but I feel like Age of Calamity did more for the story than Breath of the Wild did. And that's probably a very controversial statement. But yeah, like, wow. And the Yiga were let down. Like, I don't know. I just felt like so much had potential and just did not get there with Breath of the Wild. And I was just running around. Like, that's all I remember. That's all that has stuck with me after, you know, what did this come out, 2016? And I'm recording this in 22. It's been out for a long time. I've played it a lot, and I'm just like, what do I do in Breath of the Wild? And I'm just like, run around being bored. That's mostly what I've got. So yeah, I think that for a couple of reasons, it doesn't really qualify as a good Zelda game for me, and the reasons are dungeons, gameplay, especially with all the breaking of the weapons, and I can't upgrade my weapons, and I don't have my rocket launcher, and that's very upsetting. And the story wasn't there. It doesn't have to be this most grandiose story, whatever, but it was right there. It was right there, and they just didn't go for it. So yeah, like the mazes were there, and the mazes weren't that exciting, and it's like, oh, it's another shrine. Woo! I don't know. Too much with that. So let me think. I think the other Zelda games with the dungeons, we had variety. There were different dungeons. They had different themes, and I really like that about it. I will tell you guys, I'll do a review. I don't love Skyward Sword, but Skyward Sword had some good dungeons. There was something there. Where it's just like a million shrines. So anyway, I just don't think it added too much. I just don't think it added too much. It was a misstep. So overall score, I'm gonna go I'm gonna go D to be fair. I'm gonna go D to be fair for what they were able to do. Because they did. They did some really nice things. Barely passing. Barely passing in my opinion. Everybody's gonna come after me in the comments. I'll debate with you. That's fine. It's just for me, didn't get there. I didn't get there with this one. So when we're talking about the new Breath of the Wild 2, aka Tears of the Kingdom, gosh, I hope it has some story. I hope we have some dungeons. I'd really like some legitimate dungeons and not annoying shrines. And gosh, like the characters are right there, just like use them, they're good. And yeah, don't make it so empty. So I don't know if we're gonna be in the sky or underground or whatever, but I really hope there's just more to do other than finding Korok seeds, because we all know how that turned out. You get absolutely nothing for it. I got all the slots, but that was it. After that, I was like, I don't care anymore. So yeah, and there was one creepy guy in the game, the monster shop guy. He was okay. He's a legit businessman doing his thing. I don't know. I feel like it had some nice parts to it, but it's really underutilized. And I mean, rain is terrible. It made me hate rain, and I love rain. So thanks, Breath of the Wild, for making me hate rain. Cleo, are you gonna come sit on me? So anyway, please let me know what you think in the comments. I'd be very happy to talk about this game with you. I think most people say it's really good. I think I was kind of offended. I think that this happened, that I read somewhere that for the longest time, Ocarina of Time, Zelda Ocarina of Time was listed as like the highest scoring, game ever. And then I think that more recently, it's Cleo, everybody, you know, Breath of the Wild has taken that spot, and I'm just like, gross. It's not okay. It's so not okay. Hi, do you want to say hello to everybody? So anyway, this has been Sensei and Cleo and Violet with Sensei Reviews. Sorry for the long break. I've been busy, and I'll be doing some more when I can get things going around here. I'll be doing some playthroughs again. And if you haven't liked the channel and subscribed, you can do that for more ranting. I feel like I don't want to be mean to Breath of the Wild, because I feel like part of me does like it, but wasted potential. Wasted potential is what I feel like with this game. Anyway, please have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you for listening. I'll catch you next time on Sensei Plays. Hello, Cleo. What are you eating now?